I am sorry, and this is going to be relatively disrespectful to the trans community, but I have to say it the way society is going to receive it. You was a man on your knees performing oral on that little boy.
What's going on, family? Let's get into this video right now. It's going to be very polarizing. It's going to definitely make some people in the LGBTQ community not too happy about the things that I'm about to display and say here, okay? Now, my last video about Roland Martin, that was polarizing. People had different opinions about it, but the fact of the matter is truth must be told. As you already know, Sidney Starr, which is a reality TV on Love and Hip Hop. Sidney Starr is a transsexual part of the LGBT community. And this has to be said because Sidney Starr has gotten themselves in trouble for soliciting, stalking, predatory behavior towards a 13-year underage boy. That has broke out in the news, but this is something that we need to examine and understand. Let me look over here on the board. According to the arrest warrant, Starr allegedly confessed to the act to enforce law enforcement, claiming it was consent. The biggest trick in the book. Now all of a sudden, oh, it was consensual. Oh, he told me that he was of age. The bottom line is, you can't get yourself messing around, following and stalking a 13-year-old boy who Sidney Starr used deception because this 13-year-old boy, according to the records, was under the impression that Sidney Starr was a real biological woman. And see, people got to stop playing around like this. Even if this wasn't a 13-year-old boy and this was an adult man, you can't play around like that. You must tell people what you are, but you should not be talking to 13-year-old kids when you are not what you portray yourself to be. The LGBT community tells everybody that they want respect, that they want to be treated with respect, they want to be able to live their lifestyle. You can't have it both ways. You can't live the lifestyle that you want and then go around using deception, and in this case, using it towards a 13-year-old that you're in a hotel, stalking, carrying on in this manner. This is serious because Sidney Starr is looking at heavy time right now, currently in jail. Let me put this up here for you all. Let me break down what the charges are. And this all happened on August the 2nd, 2026 at the Embassy, let me say this correctly, at the Embassy Suites Hotel near the Atlanta airport in Hartsville, Georgia. Current status, being held without bail in Fulton County Jail. Okay, the charges are aggravated child molestation, sexual battery against a child under 16 years of age, and sodomy. These are very serious charges. And let me go ahead and show you the mugshot. So as you can see on the mugshot, this is a whole man. See, this is the difference between transsexuals or transgenders versus biological women. And I know people are going to be triggered by what I'm saying here from that community. You see, real biological women, when they wake up every day of their life, they don't necessarily have to put on makeup to be seen as a female. Women can go out the door with makeup or no makeup on. And when they go into the community, into society, you can still tell that they are a biological or a woman, whether they have makeup on or not. The deception behind Sidney Starr The deception behind it is that Sidney Starr only looks like potentially a female to someone who's unknowing because of makeup, weaves or wigs, right? The fake eyelashes, maybe a BBL to the buttocks, okay? I'm keeping it real here. Makeup, clothing, these, in my opinion, are deceptions, illusions. A illusion that you are a female when you're not female, and you should tell people that you approach what you are if they don't know, particularly when you're out here preying on 13-year-old boys. Now you're a whole damn man, because you see the mugshot here, Sidney Starr or Favors, whatever name this person goes by, is a whole damn man. You see on that photo again, no makeup, no weaves, no hair, none of this stuff. What you see on there, everybody, please be honest, that's a whole man. That's not hating. That's not being homophobic. That's the fact that this is a whole man that's stalking a underage, young 13-year-old boy. That cannot be accepted, no more than we should accept heterosexual people stalking and preying on underage girls or boys. Sidney Starr is a byproduct of what we have in today's society, where you make people who have absolutely no talent, you make them become stars. You make them out to be celebrities because they're on a reality show, but they have absolutely no talent. But because they can get on TV and act a buck wild fool, yell, scream, and because people in Hollywood and in television love to throw the transgenders and put these people in these shows and kind of throw it in your face, Sidney Starr has batteries in her back to think that she can go out, or let me correct myself. Sidney Starr thinks that he can go out and now start preying on underage boys, because there's probably men out there that have no problem with what and who Sidney Starr is. I get it. To each his own. But when you start messing with kids, you've now crossed the line. Let me go here, and I'm going to go here and show you on the board how this whole thing happened that led to Sidney Starr's arrest. People in the LGBT community who feel that they're already under attack, that people are not treating them fairly, that they can't be a transgender person that can play in women's sports, or that they can go into a bathroom. Sidney Starr just set you way back, y'all. Sidney Starr has just set you way back with all this mess. Preying on 13-year-old boys? Come on now. See, this is why people feel that this whole lifestyle, everything that's happening today around people that are transgender, should I say, that it's getting way out of control. This is the impression that people are having because of these type of incidents. And you know, the conservative rights, they're going to love this, because they're going to eat this up to promote what they're pushing, whether we like it or not, whether you like it or not as a community. Let me read this to you right here. This is how it all started. The victim, a 13-year-old minor visiting Georgia to participate in a football event, was targeted by the suspect, Sidney Starr. Identified as Sidney Starr, the suspect stalked the minor, Sidney Starr, should I say. Sidney Starr began stalking the minor through the premises before approaching him directly to tell him and his 13-year-old nephew they were cute. Okay, y'all. Sidney Starr, the minors, did not know who Sidney Starr was and was unaware of the suspect's biological sex. That's a deception. Now you're deceiving underage kids who may not know what the hell's going on. This is crazy. Now, located in the hotel bar area. This is the details. Shortly after initiating the encounter, that's Sidney Starr, the victim and his nephew were playing a game near the hotel bar where the suspect was seated. The suspect called the minor over and instructed him to touch his iPhone against Sidney Starr's iPhone to exchange and share contact information. Sidney Starr is going to tell you, or it told the police, that it was consent and that the boy told Sidney that he was of adult age. I don't believe that. I think Sidney, look, what's going on, this is the psychology behind it. Sidney Starr, in my opinion, is a transgender person who wants to be a female and maybe is oversexed at every step of the way because getting with as many men as possible would help, in Sidney Starr's mind, to validate to Sidney Starr that Sidney Starr is a woman. Okay? Having as many men, and y'all ain't gonna like what I'm gonna say, sucking on the male that Sidney Starr, the males that Sidney Starr desire to have, is further because people in the LGBTQ community that I'm hearing are saying that maybe Sidney Starr is oversexed. That's what people are saying. And as a result of that, it's all about validating that Sidney is a female. But the deception is that Sidney Starr is not a female. Sidney Starr is a whole damn man. You see the mugshot again. Preying on underage 13-year-old boy. Now, let me continue because this gets crazier. Okay? So once Sidney Starr makes the exchange with an underage 13-year-old boy who does not know that Sidney Starr is biologically not a woman, the suspect sent a text message to the 13-year-old victim. Yes, the boy is a victim. Phone, instructing the boy to come upstairs to the hotel room. The victim, the boy, confused by the message why the suspect was contacting, the boy was wondering, why is this person contacting me? Remember, we're dealing with a minor here. They don't have fully developed brains, y'all. Your brain is not fully developed until I'm putting my therapy cap on here. Their brains are not fully developed until 13 years of age. That's why they're called juveniles. They make bad decisions. In this case, we can't blame the 13-year-old. You have to blame the adult. That's Sidney Starr, who's oversexed. Or it gives that type of energy. Check this out. The victim, the 13-year-old boy, was instructed by Sidney Starr to come upstairs to the hotel room, to a hotel room. Sidney Starr did this. And the victim was confused by the message, as I said before, why Sidney was contacting. It gets nastier, y'all. Check this out. Located in the hotel hallway elevators, the victim was in the hallway when the suspect, Sidney Starr, or Favors, descended in the elevator, peeking out to the local to locate the victim. So Sidney Starr is lurking around, peeking around peeking around elevators, peeking around corners of this hotel. Okay? While at the Embassy Suites Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia, Fulton County. This whole thing stinks, y'all. Now, the victim then exited once the victim spotted, or once Sidney Starr spotted the victim, or the victim spotted Sidney Starr. The suspect gained the victim's attention while still in the elevator and told him to come here. The victim, the 13-year-old boy, approached Sidney Starr and seeing what she wanted, or what Sidney wanted. Not a biological woman, a transgender, transsexual person who never identified themselves as such, but living the life as if they are a real woman. I gotta keep it 100% real with y'all here. Now, let's go to the next one. This is where it gets crazier, everybody. Now, when the victim entered the elevator and used the hotel room key, which was programmed specifically for access to the 5th floor to force. Now, the minor was on the floor of Sidney Starr's hotel room. This is where it becomes coercing, because the floor that Sidney Starr was on that 5th floor, you could only get into that floor with that particular special hotel key for that floor. Once the boy was on that floor, Sidney Starr promised the boy, "Don't worry, I'll bring you back." Because the boy would not be able to get off that floor in this particular hotel in Embassy Suites. Let me go on and read this some more. This is crazy, y'all. This is crazy. Okay? Once again, it's the key that Sidney Starr had was programmed specifically for access to the 5th floor. It's called forced coercion. The minor, she forcibly coerced this minor up to her floor. Or should I say, Sidney Starr, the transgender individual, who is not a biological woman, coerced this young boy to their floor, assuring the 13-year-old boy, as I said before, that Sidney Starr would bring him back downstairs, and merely wanted to show this 13-year-old boy something. Now, according to the reports, the boy was scared at this point. He listened, not knowing he was in real danger by Sidney Starr. The victim had no key, so was unable to even press a random floor number to try to get the hell out of the situation and escape due to the hotel keys only being programmed for that floor. Sidney Starr is a whole predator, y'all. And see, people, black folks in particular, who watch Love and Hip Hop and all that nonsense, you're watching this individual who had the audacity to do this to a young boy. Once inside the private area of the 5th floor, the suspect sexually assaulted the 13-year-old victim. The victim physically pushed the suspect off of himself and fled towards the exit. As the victim ran, the suspect, Sidney Starr, fell and attempted to grab his foot and offered him money for sexual acts in attempt to stop him from escaping. And let's just keep it real, to stop the young 13-year-old from going out and telling his story. Now, this part right here, I definitely have to read this part right here, y'all. The victim successfully broke free and escaped the area. A close family member was notified immediately, and law enforcement was contacted without delay. Sidney Starr is a whole complete mess. A whole complete mess. You are a man messing with a boy dressed as, in my opinion, dressed as a woman, making yourself look like a woman. And that's deception when you don't identify who you are sexually. And then this is why the LGBTQ community, if y'all are wondering why people have a problem with this part of the LGBTQ community, particularly the transgender, transsexual community, this is why. This type of behavior doesn't bode well for your community. No more than it bodes well when a heterosexual person does this to a boy or a child of this age. It's sick. Sidney Starr is sick. And remember, some of y'all out there supported Sidney Starr. Some of y'all out there had no problem with Sidney Starr and her lifestyle and the way she flaunts herself and behaves on the social media and on these reality shows. Some people think it's cute. It ain't cute. Not so ever. Let me also throw something up here. This is from TMZ. A clip from TMZ stating that Sidney Starr cops say that an open condom fell out of the pockets during sodomy arrest. So during the time that Sidney Starr was arrested, they already found the evidence of something, and we know that to be now a condom. Let me go further. Sidney Starr told police that the mail she went. Sidney Starr, see, I'm reading it as it's written on here, but to me, no, Sidney Starr is a whole man who sodomized, who was engaged in sodomy behavior and orally, you know what, to a 13-year-old boy. But according to TMZ, they have it written here like this. Sidney Starr told police that a male went to the hotel room, to Sidney Starr's hotel room, told Sidney Starr that he was an adult. And a cop said that a rubber fell out of Sidney Starr's pocket during the arrest of Sidney Starr in the child molestation, according to TMZ. Now, what I want to do is I want to play for you. This brother is on YouTube. I think his channel is called Funky Divine or something like that. I don't know that last name of it, but you'll probably recognize him. Now, he's of the LGBTQ community, but he's calling Sidney Starr out as well as the LGBT community. You can't support this. Sidney Starr cannot be supported. This is sick. This is a whole man. You see the damn... I'm sorry, this is a damn man that you see on this mugshot. And he calls Sidney Starr out. He tells it like it is. I want you to hear.
As a member of the LGBTQ community and everything that we got going on right now with legislation in this Trump administration, the first thing I said was, damn you, Sidney. You right here personified everything that those people push trans people to be. You personified everything those people fearmonger and portray trans people to be. You laid it right out on the table for them to now use what you did to this boy as the poster child for why trans people should not have rights, why they should not be able to go in bathrooms, and why they should not be parts of society, because they're going to do what? Rape and hurt and kill, endanger, and sexually assault your children. Thank you so much, Sidney Starr, for setting the entire community back forever and a decade for doing that.
I want you to hear this clip. Here it goes.
As a member of the LGBTQ community and everything that we got going on right now with legislation in this Trump administration, the first thing I said was, damn you, Sidney. You right here is going to say you were a sick man. I am sorry, and this is going to be relatively disrespectful to the trans community, but I have to say it the way society is going to receive it. You was a man on your knees performing oral on that little boy.
Okay. He said the same thing I said, but in this case, he got a little bit more graphic. He said Sidney Starr was a whole man on his knees doing what he did to a 13-year-old boy, setting their community back. Sidney Starr is finished. And this is the reason why those of us that are part of the heterosexual community, we have an issue, some of us, with the lifestyle and the behavior and this whole idea about teaching kids in the school about the transgender lifestyle and having drag queens reading to kids, our kids, and having people walking around in skimpy clothing. And this is why people say, hey, we don't want our kids being confused by what is a man and what is a woman, when we know that biologically a woman is more than how much makeup you can put on, how many wigs you can put on. It's biological. Women give birth. Women have sexual organs that can give birth to the world. Women have monthly periods. Women go through menopause. There's more to just being a woman than just makeup and hair and putting on heels. A woman can go out the door any day of the week, whether she has these things on, makeup, cosmetics, whatever, and you still gonna know she a woman. Someone like Sidney Starr has to use deception when they don't tell you who they really are and what they really are, because they can go out into the world, put on the makeup, get the BBLs, all that sort of stuff, and look like they are a woman until you figure out, this is not what I bargained for. This is not what I thought. You don't have to do that with real biological women. I know this video is polarizing for some people. Y'all let me know what you feel and thoughts about this situation. Be honest. And let me say this for the record. I feel the same way about men and biological women and men who prey on kids too. All of it is disgusting. All of it. We got to watch who we platform. We have to watch who we put on the pedestal. And this is nothing but another example of how the society that we live in is going down and down to an all-time low. Let me know what you think. Hit the bell notification. Share the video. I know it's polarizing. Let me know what you feel. Everybody out there, peace. Tell someone you love them. That 13-year-old boy is going to be traumatized. He'll need therapy. He'll need counseling. No telling what he's going through. He realized that Sidney Starr wasn't a real biological woman when he got into the act, when the act was beginning with this individual who has taken advantage of a 13-year-old boy. This is not right. Take care. Peace.
Let her know I got a little problems, you gon' regret everything. So I let her know, gotta let her know. Came through the front door, I'll be ready for her. And if it's what you want, I'ma give it to you. Yeah, promise, I'ma give it to you.
Miss that smile, Lord knows I ain't seen that in a while, but it's your style, so something must be up keeping you down. You a queen that must be heaven sent. Pray my soul, I must repent for not telling you what I meant and how I felt. Honestly, I'm used to throwing wishes in a well. My conscience tells me that I could have helped without fail. Actions speak louder than words, and that's a lesson that I learned all by myself.